Hi friends, welcome to Project Wild, our lesson all about owls. If you watched the episode about bats, the shirt and the place is going to look really familiar. I'm filming them together today. Remember those noisy ducks? Oh my goodness, they were a mess. So they're back behind me right now having their breakfast. Can you see them back there? Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm really excited. We talked about bats before. This week, lesson is all about owls and raptors. Owls and raptors. Okay, so in the Project Wild program for this week, we have our lesson is about owl pellets. Now, I will tell you, I do not have any owl pellets, but I'm going to tell you all about what they are. And then I'm going to post some different things for you, links that you can click on so that you can see what an owl pellet is and what it's like to do some science with one. And also, if your family would like to get some owl pellets to discover on your own, where you can purchase those probably on Amazon or other places like that. But first, let's talk about owls. We have a lot of owls here in Texas too. And owls, you could probably go a really long time living here and never see one. Owls have really good camouflage. Do you know what that word means? Camouflage? It means that their feathers in the outside of the body blends in with the trees that they usually like to sit in. Makes it really hard for them to see. Kind of like a camo shirt would if you were hiding in the bushes. So lots of animals use camouflage. We'll talk more about that another day, but wanted you to know that that's probably why you have not seen one. Now you could go to the zoo or the nature center in Austin has owls as well, but I think one of the best ways to learn about owls is to go outside with your grown-ups right around the time that it gets dark. Like maybe just after it gets dark. And this might be easier once the time changes in case you go to bed early. And you can listen. Different owls make different sounds. What's the sound that we all think of when we think of owls? Right, we think of hoo, hoo. But owls can make lots of different sounds. So great horned owls will make that sound. They will make the hoo, hoo sound. Great horned owls are very large. They don't actually have horns. They have these tufts of feathers that make it look like they have ears or horns, but they actually do not. So other owls that we have here in Texas is we have barn owls and we have screech owls, and the screech owls make a really neat sound. It's almost kind of like a trilling sound. And you can hear them a lot at nighttime. We also have an owl called a barred owl. And barred owls make my favorite sound because it sounds like the owls are saying, "Who cooks for you?" So you might go out at night and you might hear, "Whoo, whoo, 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 whoo." If you hear that sound at night, it's probably a barred owl. Now, why do owls hoot like that? Well, they might be looking for other owls. Maybe they're kind of going, "Hey, what you doing? Hey, what's up?" That's how they talk to each other and let each other know, "I'm here, there's danger, I found something cool." There's all kinds of different things that they can be trying to express to each other. So, owls. Owls are birds, and they have very strong beaks. Very, very strong. And big wings, and their feet have claws on them. They are part of a bird family called raptors. And raptors are typically meat and fish eating birds. They're sort of the tigers of the sky. So other raptors, other than owls, would be hawks. We see hawks a lot, don't we? Yeah, we see hawks. They fly way up in the sky, or we'll see them on top of the street lights. As we go along the highway on a cloudy day, if you look up, you'll see hawks. They're there looking for mice and other things. Sometimes you'll see them if you go out in the country and you see big fields. They'll be sitting up on fence posts and things looking for mice. Some other raptors that sometimes are in our area would be eagles. A lot of times out in Llano in the wintertime, you can see eagles. We have osprey that come into town occasionally. Right now, the hawks are migrating. Remember, we learned that word when we talked about the bats. Migrating means that when animals move, particularly birds, move from a location that gets cold to a location that gets warmer. And we are fortunate here in Texas that a lot of birds migrate through our area. So some really great bird watching if you know what you're looking for. And so, yeah, so what do they eat? Oh my goodness. They're pretty big. Owls and raptors are. So they're going to eat things like mice and rats. Maybe they even eat small rabbits, squirrels, anything little that they can catch in their claws. They actually catch it in their talons, and they will eat the meat that way. Sometimes that includes snakes, lizards, fish if they're near water. And raptors are very important, and they help control the mice population so that we don't have too many mice and rats and things like that. They're an important part of the food chain, and they're pretty cool to watch. So I have a story about an owl today. It is called Good Night Owl. Now, you remember last time when we talked about our bats, we talked about how bats are nocturnal. You remember that word? Nocturnal means that they are sleeping during the day and they stay awake at night. Nocturnal. So, we're going to talk about our owl friend here in Good Night Owl. Then we'll talk more about what owls eat. It's pretty cool. Owl tried to sleep. It looks like it's daytime. Yep, so owl is sleeping. But the bees buzzed, buzz, buzz, and owl tried to sleep. Maybe those bees are keeping owl awake. The squirrel cracked nuts, crunch, crunch, and owl tried to sleep. Kind of like the squirrels above me right now. Squirrely squirrels, crunching on pecans, chasing each other around. My goodness, squirrels. The crows croaked, caw, caw. An owl tried to sleep. So we have the bees, the squirrels, the crows. Oh my goodness. The woodpecker pecked, rat-tat-tat. An owl tried to sleep. The starlings chittered, tweet, 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 tweet. An owl tried to sleep. Squirrels. The jays scream, ah, ah. An owl tried to sleep. The cuckoo called, cuckoo, cuckoo. An owl tried to sleep. Oh, poor owl. Kind of like Miss Stephanie trying to make videos with ducks and squirrels. The robin peeped, peep, peep. An owl tried to sleep. Oh my goodness. The sparrows chirped, cheep, cheep. An owl tried to sleep. The doves cooed, coo, coo. An owl tried to sleep. The bees buzzed, buzz, buzz. The squirrel cracked nuts, Crunch, crunch, the crows croaked, caw, caw. The woodpecker pecked, rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat. The starlings chittered, tweet, 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 tweet. The jays screamed, awk, awk. The cuckoo called, cuckoo, cuckoo. The robin peeped, pip, pip. The sparrows chirped, cheep, cheep. The doves cooed, coo, coo. And Owl couldn't sleep. Then darkness fell, and the moon came up. And there wasn't a sound. All those animals are sleeping, aren't they? Yep, they're sleeping. But you know who's not sleeping? Owl. Owl screeched, screech, screech, and woke everyone up. The end. Oh, I love our owl friend. So, let's talk about owl pellets. What are owl pellets? Okay, I'm going to tell you something super gross, and you're going to love it. Okay, so owls, remember what they're eating, right? They're eating mice, and they're eating lizards, and they're eating small birds. They're eating all kinds of stuff, right? Well, they catch it with their talons, their sharp, sharp toes, and they eat the whole thing. Yeah, like they don't have teeth, they have a beak. And they have really strong beaks, and their beaks crunch, 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 and they eat the whole thing, including all the bones, and the fur, and the feathers, and all the stuff. Well, their tummies do not really like the bones, or the feathers, or the fur. That part's not so good for them. So, they throw up. They throw up the bones, and they throw up the feathers, and they throw up the fur. And it makes this thing, it's about that big. There you go, about that big. Looks a little bit like poop. And it is called an owl pellet. And they do that anytime they eat. I know that just sounds really disgusting, but it's pretty normal for an owl. Yeah, they do it. It's fine. So, you can actually get owl pellets. I know you're thinking, why would anybody want that? But the interesting thing about owl pellets is, number one, they're not goopy. They're like kind of really dry and stuff. They just have fur and things in them. But you can use tweezers like a scientist, and you can take the owl pellet apart, and you can find all of the little bones on the inside. And using some different guides and things like that, you can look at those bones and figure out what the owl ate for dinner. You can find the little mouse bones or the little bird bones or different things, so you can see, what is this owl eating? So, I'm going to show you a picture so you can kind of see in my book here of what that looks like. So here's some kids, and they're with their owl pellets. Yep, and they have their tweezers, and they're discovering what owl has been eating. So, if you're thinking, Miss Stephanie, that sounds super gross, and I'm not really very interested in what owls are eating, that's okay. You can still enjoy owls if you don't want to do that science part of it. So other ways that you can enjoy owls. You can go and see them at the Austin Science and Nature Center, or you can go for an owl walk through your neighborhood or down the trail. You might not hear them, but you might get to. Owls are all over the place. There are lots of shows and different things that you can watch with your grown-ups, either on TV or on YouTube, to see more about owls. Or you can make your own owl. Go to the craft store and you can get some feathers, and using 2 paper plates, have your grown-up help you cut one of the paper plates, and you can use those for the wings, and then you can use the other plate for the body. Make a head with a beak, and you can glue all your feathers on there so you can make an owl. You also can practice making owl sounds and see how hard it would be to catch your dinner with your toes. I know that sounds really silly, but see if it's okay with your grown-ups. Try to put maybe a goldfish cracker or a pretzel or a grape or different things on the ground, and then see if you can pick it up with your toes. Sounds very silly, doesn't it? Yes, it does. It does sound very silly. So another thing that you can do if you're looking for something crafty is you can make an owl puppet. And you can do that with a brown paper bag and glue a face on and some feathers on and make yourself a puppet. And I will post links for you of different templates and activities that you can do to learn about all of the owls in our area. In West Texas, there's another owl that I forgot to mention, a really neat one. There's actually 2. One is called the burrowing owl, and it actually makes a burrow down in the ground, or it'll use the ends of different pipes and things like that, and it lives in sort of like a little dugout cave. And they're a very small owl. They're about that big, little tiny. And then another owl that you find is the elf owl, and they live in holes in really tall cactus, and that's out towards the desert. Once you get closer to New Mexico and those areas, you find those other 2 owls there. I hope you have fun this week discovering what you can do with owls, and I will see you next time when we talk all about spiders. I love spiders. All right, see you later.